Hello, year 10. We're going to do some um, more algebra today. Okay, so this video is about square of binomials. But before our video, please make sure you have your pens and notebook ready for your lesson. Okay, let's have a bit of revision. In the last video, we have learned that the FOIL method. Okay, so FOIL method is a way for us to memorize how to do the multiplication between two binomials. Okay, so we are going to use this method for our square of binomials. What do we mean by square of a binomials? Let's say if you have a binomial, so a plus b. So this is a binomial, right? Okay, so how about the square of that binomial? So it should be a plus b squared. Okay, right? Okay, then how could we expand it? Okay, so we know that when it's squared, that means the same thing multiply itself. Okay, that's the meaning of the square. That means the same thing multiply by itself. Okay, then we are going to use the method of FOIL. Okay, so still remember how to use that method of FOIL. First, FOIL F, that means first term the first bracket, multiply the first term the second bracket. So it gives us a times a, right? Right, and the next one would be what we call O. O means outer, right? So that means the first term in the first bracket and the second term in the second bracket, because these two are the outer terms. Okay, so that means a times b. Okay, because both are positive, so they are positive. Okay, how about the third one? Third one is I. I means inner. Inner means the second term of the first bracket and the first term of the second bracket. Okay, so that's b times a. Okay, and the last one is what we call last, and that's the second term of the first bracket and also the second term of the second bracket. So that's b times b. All right, and also this positive. Okay, so we got all four terms. Then we need to simplify them. Okay, so it becomes a squared plus ab plus b times a. Okay, so we know that b times a and a times b they are the same. So that's why we write ab as well. And b times b is b squared. And then you will have a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Okay, so that will be the answer. Okay, right, so let's see. Okay, so do we need to do that using FOIL every time? Actually no, because each time if you have that square, they will always give you like the square of the first term, square of the second term, and the middle term is 2 times the product of the first term and second term. Okay, so we are going to memorize this pattern. Okay, so that's the pattern we are going to memorize. Okay, so in the notes, actually they give you a way to memorize the square of binomial. How could we remember the terms? Okay, so it's like first one, the square of the first term, multiply the two terms together and then double them. That means 2 times ab, and then square the last term. Okay, you might remember like the square of the first term, the square of the last term, and in the middle is 2 times the product of the two terms. Okay, so that will do it. Okay, let's try one more time by not using for you, but we use what we call a shortcut. Okay, a way to remember that's square of binomial. Okay, so let me give you, for example. Okay, so if we have, how about, okay, this time let's say we will have a plus 3, okay, and we square. Okay, so if we use the above 3 steps, what are we going to do? Square the first term. Okay, square the first term, multiply the 2 terms together and then double them. Okay, I multiply the 2 terms together and then I double them, so that means I put 2 times here. Alright, and then, okay, of course this is plus, and square the last term. Okay, again, square the first term. Okay, multiply the 2 terms together and you double them, and then you square the last term. Okay, and then you simplify, of course, a squared plus 2 times a times 3. So you move 3 to the front. That means 2 times 3 times 8, that's 6/8, and plus 9. Okay, so that's one example. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, this time I move that number to, I move a number to the front, the letter to the back. Okay. Okay, so how can we do this one? The same, square the first term. Okay, square the first term. Okay. Okay, you multiply the 2 terms together and you double them. Okay, and then you square the last term. So that will do it. Okay, so that means 25 plus this time 10b plus b squared. Alright, okay, so that would be question like this. Okay, so they're not difficult, are they? Okay, so let's see if I'm going to do one example here. Say example 1, and you are asked to expand. Alright, possibly, and simplify. Okay, this time is 2x plus y. Okay, then we have square. 2x plus y squared. You need to expand and simplify. Okay, how could we do this? Alright, so let's see. Still remember the rule. Okay, let me copy the rule here to help us to get more familiar with the rule. Okay, so the rule is here. So what we're going to do is to expand it according to the rule. You are going to square the first term. So square the first term. So is that means the square of the first term? No, because that 2x, you know that's 2x is what we call a term. So you square the first term is not just 2x squared. You need to have a bracket for it. Okay, so that means the square of the first term, right? So you need that bracket. So that bracket is really important. Okay, so let me highlight it. Okay, and then you need to multiply the first term and the second term and double them. Okay, multiply the 2 terms together, then double them. Okay, so do we need a bracket here? if you want, you can do so, but in this case, because there's no square for the whole term, so you don't need that bracket. Okay, but you need to double them, so that means you need to write 2 times the whole thing plus, okay, square the last term, okay. Let's see what happened for the bracket 2x squared. What's this? Okay, we all know that's 2x as a bracket, and you need to multiply another 2x, right? Okay, and for the middle term is 4xy. Okay, right? The things here is a bit challenging. 2x times 2x, that means 2 times 2 is 4. X times x. Okay, remember that 2x times together, so you've got x squared. Okay, plus 4xy plus y squared. Okay, so this is really important because you got 2x times together, you got x squared. Okay, possibly you need to take some time to get yourself familiar with what we're doing here. Make sure you understand every step here. Okay, if you're okay, I'm going to give you another example. This time you need to try first and then you check your answer with mine. Alright, so let's see, this time 3 here plus 5y squared. Okay, I want to see you if you can do it. Okay, I'm going to give you a bit of time to try by yourself. Make sure you do have try, okay, before you can track with my answer, right? Okay, have you got an answer? Right, okay, so now I'm going to show my solution. Okay, so for this one, again, remember it's the square of the first term, that's no problem, and you multiply the first term, second term, and you double them. There'll be no problem as well. Okay, and you square the last term. Okay, for the last term, because you're going to square it, but there are 2 numbers in the term, right? So you can't just square it like this. You need to add a pair of brackets to protect it. Alright, so now we're going to do the first one. 3 squares, 9, and the middle term, 30y plus 5y squared. How could we deal with this? Remember, 5y squared means 5 times y times another 5y. Okay, if you like bracket, you can add it. Okay, right. So for this one, remember, because it's multiplication, you multiply 5 with 5, that's 25. You multiply y with y, that's y squared. Okay, so that would be the case. Okay, so that would be the case. Okay. Okay, so that's the answer. Have you checked it? Alright. Make sure you understood. You've understood every step. Alright. Okay, so let's move on to next. Okay, so how about a minus b squared? How could we expand the things when it's no longer plus between a b is minus? Okay, so we know that if that's plus, then you will have plus 2ab as the middle term. How about if that's minus? let's see what happens. Okay, let's use for you again because the for you is our first principle right now. So let's use for you. Okay, remember that. Okay, first. Okay, so that's our first a times a, right? Okay, and then O, that means outer. Okay, so you see this one's a times b. No, actually it's a times minus b, a times minus b. Okay, so a times minus b, so it's positive a times minus, so it becomes minus, isn't it? So you should write minus here as a times b. Okay, and then you got I. Okay, so I is minus b times a. Again, so minus times positive. Minus times positive is minus, right? So you need to write minus here, b times a. Okay, and the last one is what we call L, the last. Okay, it's the second term of the first in the first bracket times the second term in the second bracket. All right. Okay, so this one's minus b times minus b. Okay, so these are minus b times minus b, so that 2 minus, so it's negative times negative becomes positive. Okay, and of course we need to simplify them, so it's a squared minus ab. Okay, minus b times a, but we prefer ab, right? Plus b squared. Okay, so how about minus ab and minus ab? Okay, actually they are like terms, right? So that means you need to add them. When you add them, it's minus 1, minus 1. Okay, how about minus 1, minus 1? It's minus 2, so that's minus 2ab. Okay? Okay, so now let's compare. If we have this one, a minus b squared equals this one, can we compare with our previous result? Okay, so that's our current result. Sorry about that. Need to create a little bit more room for my. Okay, let's see. Okay, so that's a minus b squared. All right, so when you compare with our previous result, a plus b, what's the difference? All the things are the same. A squared, b squared are the same, 2ab are the same. The only difference is for the middle term, it now becomes minus. Okay, so that means if that's a minus b, the middle term becomes minus. If that's a plus b, and the middle term becomes plus. That's the only difference between the square of a plus b and that of a minus b. Okay, so remember that's the key, the only difference of our outcome. Okay, so how about when you're asked to 4 minus 3a square? Okay, so of course we are not going to use for you. Okay, because for you is quite slow. We are going to use our previous rule. Still remember that rule? Okay, we're still going to use this rule. Let me copy it. Okay, so that means we're going to still use this rule. To use this rule, remember that you need to first you square the first term and you multiply the first term with the second term and you double them. But in this case, remember, you need to put minus sign here, unlike what we have done in our previous two examples, because for our previous two examples, the sign between the two terms is plus, so the sign for the middle term will be plus. But now the sign is minus, so the sign for the middle term becomes minus. Okay, and remember that you need to have that last term 3a squared, but again, because that's 3a includes two numbers, so you need to bracket them. Okay, so let's see what happened to the first term. Okay, 16. 2 times 4 times 3 is it 24? Okay, and 3a squared, remember 3a squared means 3 times a times 3 times a. Okay, so that means you need to move that 3 times 3, that's 9, and a squared. Okay, so basically everything's the same except that's the sign here. The sign for the middle term become negative. Right? Any problem here? Right? Make sure you understand every step. Okay? Right? Okay, so let me give you some time to do this one. Okay, so have you done it? Okay, let's track the answer. Right? So this one actually becomes more difficult, possibly the most difficult one. Okay, so again, for this one, remember you need to square the first term, but there are two numbers in the first term, so you need to bracket them, square minus, okay, first term times second term, double them, alright, and you plus 3y squared. Okay, so remember you need bracket for the first term because there are two numbers. Also need a bracket for the second term. They got numbers. Okay, for the middle part, if you don't want that bracket, that's okay, because in the end you just multiply all the numbers together, right? Okay, for the first one, because that's a bracket, so that means 5x times 5x minus 2 times 5 times 3. Okay, so possibly I need to write that in more detail. Times x times y, so you times all the things together. So that's 3y times another 3y. Okay, 5x times 5x, what do you have? 25x. Are you getting this? No, you should have square. Okay, got 30xy. Okay, 9y squared. Okay, so that basically would be the answer and the working steps. Okay, make sure you understand every steps. Alright. Okay, so if you are alright with all these questions, you might go to the notes, and so you could do question 8. So question will be all the questions you need to do. Okay, of course if you can't finish all of them, at least you try 3 of them, for example these 3, right? Okay, and we got answers underneath the question, so you can track your answer, right? Okay, so that's for all the example we have done so far. And we got another example which is more complicated. Alright, okay, so this is about you got a constant outside the bracket. Alright, so apart from the square of a binomial, we got one constant to multiply it outside the bracket. So what we're going to do, so if you still remember previously, actually we have a similar question in our last video. Okay, so if you still remember, we've done one question like this: 3 times bracket x minus 3 bracket 2x plus 5. Okay, so what we're going how do we solve it? Okay, so we apply the FOIL for the two binomials and we leave that 3 outside. So that 3 has nothing to do, it just stands outside. But for the FOILs, you apply for the two binomials. After you expand it, you need to have a pair of brackets. Okay, so this pair of brackets are very important because after you finish all your simplification of the things expanded from the two binomials, you are going to use distributive law to multiply that 3 into the bracket for each term. So that's why you need to have a bracket after you've done the FOIL. Okay, so we are going to use the same idea here. Okay, first, okay, let me copy the question. First, I'm going to leave that 4 just outside, and then I'm going to apply a rule for the square of the binomials. Remember that rule? That will be x squared, the square of the first term, and you multiply two terms together, you double them, and because that's plus, so the middle sign is also plus, and you should have a bracket 2y squared. Okay, so that's basically the square of binomial I've done, right? Okay, but remember that's 4 outside, so you need to add another bracket because you have used this bracket, so you need to use another type of bracket, which is square bracket out there. Alright, okay, so what we're going to do next, okay, so we're going to simplify this. 4xy, we're going to simplify 2y. Okay, and of course, because you have removed the brackets inside, you can downgrade that square bracket into the normal bracket. Okay, and then you will have x squared plus 4xy plus 4y squared. Okay, remember the question is about expand, so you need to expand all the brackets. Okay, so that means in this step you still need to multiply that 4 into the bracket as a way to remove the brackets. Alright, so you need to multiply that 4 into each term, so it becomes 4x squared plus 4 times 4xy, 16xy plus 16y squared. Because that's, you got 4 times 4 and 4 times 4. You need to multiply each term by that 4. Okay? Is that okay? Alright, so if you got no problem with this example, then you should be able to do practice 2. So that will be your homework for today. Your homework is question 8 and also question 9. Okay? Just try to do as much as you can. Alright? I will expect minimum half of them. Alright? Good. Okay, so if you have any problem, please leave your message in the collaboration area in our OneNote. Okay? Right? So, and after you finish the homework, please take photos and send your photos to the folder in your in the OneNote. Alright? Okay? That's the video for today. See you next time. Bye bye.